So where are we going today? You'll see.
We are at the Bays in Chicago with a bunch of other vendors and a bunch of other detailers. And we are doing a ton of videos with these vendors. Now, there's going to be tons of how-to videos and tutorials. So stay tuned. I will have a list of all the different vendors and creators down below. In this video, we are with the infamous Renny Doyle from P&S, and we're going to be doing an engine cleaning. So we're going to show you all the ins and outs, the how-tos, the pros and cons, and everything else in between on this dirty Lexus engine. This is pretty common. If you are running a detailing business, you're going to see stuff like this all the time. So here are some of the products we're going to be working with today. P&S products, Brake Buster, and their dynamic dressing. These are going to be the two simple products that we can use to clean up this nasty engine, along with some brushes, some microfiber towels, a pressure washer. That's really all you need. So we are here with the infamous Renny Doyle with P&S. Now we're going to be cleaning up this disgusting Lexus engine, and this is pretty common, like I said. If you're running a detailing business, you're going to see engines like this all the time. So we're going to go over some of the pros and cons. How do you clean these types of engines? Do you have to be afraid to clean engines? We'll talk about that as well. And can this be profitable? We'll also talk about that. So let's get into it. Do you have to be afraid to clean engines like this?
No. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I've probably done, like you, thousands of engines over my career. In the early days, I had a couple stumbles. That was like way back, you know?
Me too.
And so now that some of the tips we're going to share is that, could you get in trouble? You could. But hopefully we keep and kind of share some information we keep you from doing that.
So how do we get into this? What are some of the things that we want to keep in mind when we're going into an engine bay like this?
You know, first thing I'm really big, I've had a saying for a long time, if it's on you, it's in you. And so, you know, I wear gloves. These sunglasses aren't just for looks, right?
Yep.
And so I'm always going to protect my eyes, my hands, my skin. Next thing from there is I'm going to kind of look and see. I've got a rule, is that if it's over 5 years old or if it's got over 100,000 miles on it, caution, because you know, things open up and change. The other thing I'm looking for is aftermarket add-on. If there is add-ons, is it a high quality add-on? Then I'm not worried about it. But if it's kind of an at-home wire job, things are exposed, you know where I'm going, right?
Oh yeah.
You see that, you know, I'm gonna have a talk with the customer, and I'm gonna let them take on the liability of that if they really want it. And so you shared something cool that you've got a little thing on your checkoff list.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we share an acknowledgement form with every one of our customers. Before we even book it, we have them sign this acknowledgement form. And when you go and see that on our website, I have links to that down below. There's free forms that you can download yourself, or you can use jotform.com. That's what we use. It's easier. You send a link, and in there'll be check boxes to opt in or opt out of engine cleaning, sunroofs, some of those points that are going to be maybe, you know, iffy areas the customer doesn't want you to touch or for whatever reason. And also you can explain to them older engines, delicate parts, those types of things, right into that agreement form. So I'll have that down there as well, and you can just download those for free. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask us. But that is important to cover your bases, especially if you're doing this daily and all the time. You're going to run into some issues, so have that in your form and have your customers sign that, and at least have them acknowledgement. That's why we call it our acknowledgement form. So let's get into some of the chemicals that we're going to be using. We have the Brake Buster. Now, what is it about Brake Buster that's so good for cleaning these engines?
So, you know, when we first came out with Brake Buster, one of the things, this is my passion. I love on my own cars, you know, I'm a Porsche enthusiast, but I was looking for something that would clean the metals, okay? Brake Buster, wheel cleaner, right? But I wanted something that would clean all the plastics too. And so I thought, well, you know what? Let's throw Brake Buster on this thing and see what it does. We were blown away. The second thing, we wanted to be safe. So we didn't want to be able to screw something up. You know, we wanted something because on this case, there's an older vehicle. We didn't want to take and cause damage, staining, run marks or anything like that. So Brake Buster became really a wheel tire cleaner and an engine cleaner.
Nice.
And so it was a really good combo. We absolutely love it. As you know, all these stained areas here, all the metals and stuff, it does a great job on that. We're going to show them some tips. I'm hoping I can learn some tricks from you too, to make this even more profitable and faster.
So let's get into starting to use the pressure washer. And I know for our techniques, we do it kind of fast and dirty because, you know, when you're detailing cars, time is money. We want to get these things done quickly. And you may see some things that we're doing that you may be like, I would never do that. But it's because we've been doing this for so long.
Absolutely.
We know what to do, what not to do, how close to get with the pressure washer and all those important things. So take some tips from this. But again, like Renny said, just use caution, use common sense. Don't get too close to delicate connections like this, you know, inches away with the pressure washer. Obviously you're going to cause some issues. So keeping your distance, and let the chemical do the work. So as we get into this, there's a couple of different things that you can do depending on the situation. So if your customer just came in with the car and everything's kind of hot, and you can kind of hear that tinking sound, then you may want to kind of rinse things and cool things down. It's been in the bay here for a while, things are cool. So instead of me just going in and pre-rinsing everything, we can go right in with the chemical and hit all those really nasty spots first.
So, you know, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna prime this bottle. We just put new product in. I'm gonna start up on this top section so it's got more time. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the seal here, but I'm not gonna hit the pad. A lot of times, especially the age of this, you can see some baling wire holding it together. I just clean the pad down from a distance with just water. A lot of times, especially when it's older like this. So I'll just come through, start putting a fair amount on here. At this stage, I'm going to come around. A lot of people, they don't look at it from this angle.
Yeah.
A lot of dirt, right?
Yeah, look at it all angles.
Exactly. So I'll come back here and kind of hit this. And again, I'm not going to soak this down, but having a nice mist over the top, not going to hurt anything.
Exactly.
So question, engine on, engine off.
Yeah, so I learned a long time ago that I do it with the engine off. It's one of the first things that I do when I'm cleaning a car, especially with the exterior, because this is going to blast a lot of junk all over the vehicle. Especially if there's leaves and stuff in there, it's going to get everywhere. So do this first, don't do it last if you're working on the exterior of the vehicle, because it's going to make a big mess. But yeah, I've had some guys say to do it on. Why would they say that, and you know, what are the pros and cons of that one?
You know, I've asked a lot of mechanic friends of mine, same thing, ASC certified, all of them have said the same thing, off.
Yeah.
And so the times I had problems was in the early days when we had it on. And so now, there's also classic cars with distributors.
Yep.
And so, you know, modern day cars aren't gonna have a problem with that, but if you're working on something classic, you gotta cover that distributor up.
With other fancier cars, like you said, with performance parts, those air intakes, you can cover those. Ask the customer too, if there's anything in particular in the vehicle that he's concerned about, and take those precautions and make sure to cover those areas.
We had an interesting thing happen to us years and years ago. Came in, cold air intake, right? Put a bag over it. Yours truly got on the phone. I went to pull the car into the shop and adjusted the bag.
Oh no.
And so it was a big fix, over $1,000.
Yikes.
So what we do now is we put tape over the start button and or over the keyhole, just to remind us that we've got something in the engine bay that could go bad if you don't straighten it out. So
good tips. Yeah, cover yourself with that. And now another thing, you know, he's spending a lot of time with the spray bottle. You know, if you're doing this daily, that's gonna wear on your fingers. Put it in a pump spray. You know, put it in like the IK foamers or something you can fill up with air or pump, and you'll blast this down within like 30 seconds. Very, very quick and fast. Of course, for demonstration purposes, we have these bottles here, and we're doing it this way, and this is actually how we used to do it when we first started anyway.
We're too broke to have the fancy bottles.
Exactly, right? That's right. We need to go in there with brushes. We have these brushes here, the work stuff brushes, these nice, soft flag tip brushes here as well. And we can go in here and agitate, and look how quickly all that dirt and grime is going to release. This is a great example because it's white paint in here, so you can really see it working. Once you start to blast that away with the pressure washer, it's going to be extremely satisfying. Look how nice that cleans up. This stuff just works really well. Now, actually, I forgot to ask, what dilution ratio is this?
This is full strength. This is ready to go. Yeah, we now you can take it into and put it into an IK foamer.
Yep.
So on cars that are a little cleaner, you can break that down. We use it sometimes 4-to-1 on gentle surfaces.
Yep.
But right now, as dirty as this is, we went full blown.
Nice. And this stuff foams up really well, like you mentioned. So IK foamers work really well with this stuff. If you want to dilute it 4-to-1 and use it for wheels and tires and engine compartments in all one big spray bottle, that's another good solution. You kind of save money and you get things done so you don't have multiple bottles of different dilution ratios. So that's just a tip.
And I don't spend a lot of time scrubbing it.
Yeah.
I'm just going around these tight areas here But most of the time, I let the chemical do the work.
Yep.
It's going to do a great job. And
it is. You'll notice that a lot, like 90% of this will blast away, even without the brushing.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because this is chicken egg. You know, which came first?
Yeah.
So a lot of people start on the actual engine bay itself, then come up here.
Yep.
Or some people start up here and then go to the engine bay.
Yeah.
What's your method?
I like to start in the engine bay first.
Okay.
With almost pretty much every car, because sometimes bigger trucks, that hood will be over your head.
Right.
So when you rinse all that stuff, you're gonna have dripping water on your head.
Yeah, there you go.
So I usually try to start down here first and then do that last.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's just my method.
Cool, right on.
I like to start outside of the vehicle like this. I don't like to blast the pressure washer starting it inside. The first initial blast of pressure can just kind of, make a mess. So I start on the outside here and I'll work my way in. So like Renny mentioned with these, you don't want to soak that down with chemical, it will foam for days. So just use water and keep your distance. It's already starting to get damaged right around here. Keep your distance from this area. But you can soak it down, it'll be fine. So I've mentioned this before, I use this tip kind of like a blade. So you can get into some of those tight areas. Again, just use caution, don't go too close. But as you see, going close to the cowl there, I can get a little bit closer to that. If that plastic is still in good shape, it's not going to be too worn away that it's going to get damaged. So you can use the green tip here, which is a 25 degree, or you can switch out to the white one. You get a wider fan, a little bit gentler. It's up to you which one you want to choose. Oh yeah, and like Renny mentioned, go around to these areas here because just doing it from the front is going to be tough to see some of these angles. So we'll have to go into it from different angles, so just be cautious of that. So if you did miss any spots, we'll just go back and hit them with the brush. Not a big deal. There's going to be some areas that maybe didn't clean up perfectly, but that just means you just go back in and hit a few areas.
See anything else, do you? I think that should do it. Let that soak for a second.
Yep.
Dwell. Just going to come back in. Oh, wow, that's nice.
That's some nice brush action.
It is, isn't it?
Now when it comes to getting intricate, in the engine parts, some guys will get really deep in there. They'll get those wheel brushes that get deep in there. That's totally up to you and what you're comfortable with. For our business, I'm really just focused on the top surface. And that's really what the customer's worried about as well. So I explained to them, look, I don't get too intricate, too deep. There's liability there. What we're trying to do is clean up the majority of the plastics that we see here, all the edges, and any exposed painted parts. And really when the customer sees that, that's going to be good enough for them. More than good enough usually. Because if you try to get into some of those deeper parts, you might get into trouble.
Well, you mentioned something important. There's a difference. Two services.
Yeah.
There's an engine cleaning.
Yep.
And there's an engine detail.
Yeah, very good.
If you want to take and pay for the detail, we'll come at it, but it's all times money.
Exactly. Great point. Great point. And I know some detailers do that. They know the engines, maybe they have a mechanical background and they're like, hey, I know how to get into these parts and clean them. That's awesome. Capitalize on that and charge more to really get into like the detailing of the engine parts. Maybe there's show cars. Maybe there's some of those vehicles that those customers need that or they want it. So capitalize on that. You know what annoys me?
Right.
Sometimes these parts here, you'll see them in the door jambs on older white vehicles. And I know they're painted, but it's also
textured.
It's a textured soft material and mold will get in there and stain it. It's porous.
You can't get it out,
You can't get it out. And if you get too close or clean too aggressively, the paint starts coming off.
Yeah.
So when you see mold around these white, it's almost like a caulking, some sort of a sealant or a caulking that is painted over. It's still textured and porous. Mold will get in there. Don't try to get that out if you see black mold on there because you're just going to damage some of those areas. Now once the majority of this is done, we're going to get into drying it, protecting all the plastics. You may have a lot of junk around the vicinity of the vehicle, on the windshield, maybe on the top of the car. Go ahead and just blast that off really quick, just so that if it's in the sun or whatever, stuff is not drying on the paint. So you might just need to quickly rinse around that area of the vehicle where you've made a big mess. All right, so cleaning part is done. Everything is all wet and rinsed. Now, what about this dynamic dressing? Why do we want to do that?
So on a car like this, it was kind of challenged where it's starting out a little rough.
Yep.
I like to actually put dynamic on wet, so it kind of carries it down.
Cool.
It's going to plate out and self-level out. On a newer vehicle, to where you want it to look like it's just factory, is I'll actually go through and lightly, not with air pressure, but air volume, so a blower.
Yep.
I'll blow off this top surface and then put dynamic on.
Ah, cool. All right.
Yep. So
Excellent.
two different ways to kind of going about it.
Excellent.
This is on a vehicle like this that needs a lot extra help. Dynamic this is going to be mixed 4-to-1.
Yeah.
If a car needs a little more help, maybe 3-to-1. If you want to make it look factory, 4-to-1, even 6-to-1 is outstanding.
Okay.
So I'm just going to start all the way back here, and I'm going to get this going. And so I'm going to do it into a mist, just a little bit of a mist, so it kind of carries in. And I'm just going to cover it again. We're using just a bottle sprayer, but if you're doing this professionally, your hand's going to get really worn out quickly. And so to put it into a professional sprayer is going to really help.
Definitely.
And so you can see that fine mist. A lot of people, instead of, they want to squirt it on heavy, you really don't need to do that. You know, it's just a waste of product, and it's actually not going to plate out as easy. And so we're coming in, and even the metals, we're even hitting the metals because it's going to brighten it.
Ooh, that smells nice.
Doesn't it? Well, it's just some of the key things is that you've got the performance of a product, and then you have the aroma of the product. So my ADHD just goes crazy with the aroma.
Yep. I think that's an important factor. Some detailers may not care about the scent, but again, when you're working with it day in and day out, that scent is going to be in your face. If it's a gross scent or an unpleasant scent, you may not be picking up that product as often, I feel. But a product like this just kind of makes the whole process more enjoyable.
Now back in these sides, you can see I went to a squirting motion because I want to get deep down in there.
Oh, excellent.
So these sidewalls, so that they're not dry. So anything else I can see that's a little deeper. And again, this is going to self-plate out. There's very little rubbing that you have to do.
Yep.
We're just going to come through and make sure all those areas, especially what's visual to the eye, is that all of those have got nice coverage.
Excellent.
I think we've
kind
got
of
it.
snipering out those little areas.
Absolutely, great way to put it. There we go. I think that's it.
Awesome. So I mean, like we said, you could use that blower to kind of blow that out, and it works into all the little cracks and crevices.
Yeah.
However, when we used to do this back in the day, we would do that, shut the hood, do the rest of the detail, come back,
Amen,
and even things out with a
Amen.
towel. And it's so easy. Even turning the engine on after this warms everything up, kind of melts that dressing into all the plastics.
Absolutely.
You will be amazed when you pop the hood when you're done and everything just looks brand new.
So, in training sessions we do this day one. And when we come in the next morning, we don't even touch it. And it's 90% leveled out. All you have to do is take a microfiber over the top surfaces, blend it a tad, maybe a minute's worth of work, and it's done. It's done.
That is awesome. So quick and easy, not scary at all, guys. Don't be scared to do engines. And as far as price, what do you charge for just engines, or are you going to include it in your full details? That's kind of up to you, your demographic, your area. For us, we usually include that because it's so quick for us. You can include that in your full details and make sure your full detail prices are counting that in as well. And tell your customer that's part of the detail, or you can charge extra for it and make a little bit extra money.
So we consider this a kind of a relationship builder. And so what we would do is, a lot of times if somebody's they're on the teeter of not really, they're kind of priced out of their realm, this is a great giveaway because we tell people it's a $100 value. Or if it's a really good customer and we want to earn their business, is we'll actually go in and include this without adding it on for free and just say, hey, we actually did this. And when you lift that hood up and present it, the engine is a great presentation. People, it doesn't matter male or female, they both love it, especially if it looked like this. And this is a great, if you're using software, this is a great before and after to share with your customers. And a lot of times, even before they're coming in to do it, we'll text it to them and say, hey, we just wanted to shoot you a little update. Here's your engine before and after. You know what? They put it on social media.
That's awesome.
So it's a great way to promote your business. So
great tip. Ooh, I'm going to steal that one. Great tip. So we're going to let this dwell a little bit. We might go in with some towels and even it off, and we'll show you the afters.
Right?
It was your first time?
I slept at Holiday Inn last night. I feel awesome.
I'm glad we went over that PowerPoint presentation.
Right? Yeah. Don't you wish you would have tick marks of everything you've done over your career? Just to see how many times that you've done an engine, or how many times you've cleaned a mat, or, you know, I mean.
Oh, man.
We just keep track of it all.
It'd be an encyclopedia.
I was going to say, they're supposed to be stacking pretty high.
Yeah.
So guys, that is it. Engine cleaning, it's not scary. It can be profitable. Include it in your full details. Learn how to do it well, and learn all the little nuances in it as well, and just use caution and use common sense. So I want to thank Car Supplies Warehouse. I want to thank the P&S crew for being here as well and helping us get this engine nice and clean and demonstrating some of these amazing products. So all the links will be down below if you are interested. Don't forget to use code Miranda10 and you'll get 10% off at Car Supplies Warehouse. Don't forget to subscribe to all of the different channels down below, as well as our channel. Don't forget to click that bell so you don't miss stuff. We'll see you guys next time.